These are the brain waves found in a normal adult. Okay, so we got three main ones that we're going to be interested in right now. Okay, so this first one right here, this is associated with awake and mental activity going on. This is called beta. Okay, B-E-T-A, beta. All right, so this is the brain wave that's most present when you're involved in conversations with others that command your full attention, right? Complex problem solving, assessment of a situation, public speaking, lectures, teaching information. Like right now, I'm in beta. That's the one that most people are living in all day. You know what I mean? They stay in beta consciousness usually, except for when they go to sleep, assuming that they're getting good sleep, right? So that's beta. The next one is alpha. Okay, that's the second one here. Alpha. Now, I don't want to get into the numbers, okay? The numbers aren't as important right now. I'm looking at the relationships between these things right now. So, alpha is, a slower frequency. You can see the undulations are slower. Now, this could be over 1 second, okay? Pretend this is 1 second. Okay, so alpha is associated with awake but resting. So beta is awake but you have mental activity. Alpha is awake but resting. So this is the state that's encountered when you meditate. Okay, deep relaxation, imagination, intuitive thinking. That's what we're going for, right? This comes usually is like the relaxed mind that you get after you were in a complex thought mode and then you relax after. You know, you might slip into alpha. Meditation, once you set the mind's intention on itself, you'll slip into alpha. You have no outside distractions. So this is going to be the one that we're going to be interested in for this presentation. Okay, so after alpha, this is theta. Theta. Theta brain waves. Now this is more associated with like accessing the subconscious, hypnagogic states like daydreaming, like dreaming and daydreaming, okay? Reactions and blood rhythms, heart rate and breathing change usually when you hit the theta, right? So the thing to keep in mind here is that each of these frequencies have different bandwidths and capacities, okay, that's what we're interested in here in terms of like remote viewing and what's possible, right? Because, you know, it's kind of like there's this discovery that human consciousness can, you know, perceive all this information. It seems to be unlimited, but for some reason it's like you can't get an image. You know what I mean? What's that about? Well, it could be because, you know, you're not on the right frequency with the right bandwidth or capacity for what you want, right? So we're going to get into that here now. Capacity, all right? The potential or suitability for holding, storing, or accommodating. All right, that's what the definition for capacity is. So mental capacity changes as our brain wave frequency changes. So the maximum amount or number that can be contained or accommodated. That's the definition of capacity that we're most familiar with, you know, is the stadium at full capacity, stuff like that. But it also has definitions that are related to what we're speaking about here. All right, an individual's mental or physical ability, aptitude, skill. Right, he has the capacity to handle this job. Right. Here's another interesting one. The faculty or potential for treating, experiencing, or appreciating. All right. Duty, position, or role. The faculty or power to produce, perform, or deploy. Right. So each of these frequencies or mental states comes with different duties and positions and roles. All right. They got different capabilities. All right, one might be capable of something that the other isn't. All right, so you got to keep this in mind when in terms of this remote viewing stuff. So in communication, there's some kind of information that needs to be communicated. Alright? Depending on the content of the information, you gotta choose the correct bandwidth, right? With the correct capacity. One suitable for holding or storing or accommodating the type of information. One that has the potential for experiencing or appreciating the information that you're trying to convey. Alright? So the definition of appreciate, this is important, listen closely. To judge with heightened perception or understanding. Alright? To be fully aware. To be fully aware of. To judge with heightened perception or understanding. That's what appreciate. That's a definition for appreciate. Okay? So different capacities have different potentials for experiencing or appreciating. That's the same as saying different brainwave states perceive or have a different capability for getting certain types of information. There's certain information you're not going to get here in beta that alpha can get, and there's stuff that theta can see that alpha can't. Okay, so it's all about, this is the whole idea of everything's frequency. We're touching more closely on it here. Alright, forget all that new age stuff that you hear about. Okay, so depending on what frequency bandwidth your brain is operating, which position or role, which frequency you're in, you will or will not perceive this or that kind of information. Okay? You only perceive the information that's within the capacity of the state that you're in. Right? You won't become fully aware of the information that's outside of your range. So, and that's the whole idea that the brain is a filter, right? Right? It suppresses certain frequencies. Okay? So, another way to think of this whole idea of frequency in a way that might be more easily understood in a physical sense is the idea of frames per second. Okay, so this idea of frame rate. So if you play video games or you're into computer stuff or even video work, you're probably familiar with frame rate. So frame rate, frames per second, is the frequency or rate at which consecutive images called frames appear on a display. Okay? The term applies equally to film and video cameras, computer graphics, and motion capture systems. Okay? So, in 1 second, let's say 30 different images were displayed in 1 second. That's how a lot of these devices work. They're creating the illusion of a continuous image by displaying consecutive images at a speed that your eyes can't detect, right? So to your eye, it looks like a continuous image. Really, they're individual still frames, right? So this video has a particular frame rate to create that illusion, right? At your current rate or capacity of awake consciousness, this illusion holds up. But if you took a high frame rate camera that can record in a higher frame rate, and you recorded let's say your monitor right now, you could actually see that the image is being drawn really fast. You'd be able to slow down the frames that you're missing with your conscious mind. You could see it happen on a camera that captures in a high frame rate. So you can think of remote viewing as a remote viewing signal as a frame rate that operates outside of your current frame rate for visual perception. Okay, your physical eye, is not always capable of capturing those frames. They're moving too fast for your eye to catch, so to speak. Okay, so here's a couple examples. Here's 2 videos that are an example of this whole idea. So hopefully you can grasp this. Here's a video of monitors, a Super Mario game, being played on this monitor, but the person films it and kind of shows you how the monitor builds this image step by step, block by block, but your eye is not fast enough to catch it. Okay, so this is the same kind of concept going on here with frequency rates. Your eye's viewing at a certain frequency, but the TV is pulsing at a rate that your eye can't catch. But anytime your eye does see it, the image is continuous. Okay, so here's that clip here, and hopefully you can kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. And here's a video of, this video kind of went viral. It's kind of funny. It's of like a hummingbird or a bird like flying near someone's security camera at their house, and the frame rate of the camera can't catch the movement of the bird's wings in its entirety, so it looks like the bird's just like floating. And you know, a lot of people thought it was like edited or manipulated, but you know, if you understand frequency and frame rate, it doesn't seem all that magical or unbelievable. And the same thing applies to remote viewing. Okay, it seems like it's impossible. You know, how does the information come or go to the viewer? All that stuff. If you start thinking of it in frequency, it's not that incredible or amazing. Okay, it's just syncing up with the right frequency. That's really what is happening when you do a remote viewing session. It just happens through your focus and intention and going into these brainwave states, as we're going to get into. So here's this video with this bird, so check it out.